Frankie Banali was the heartbeat of two heavy metal giants, Quiet Riot, and for a short stint, W.A.S.P, a powerhouse drummer whose thunderous intensity was matched only by his soul and dedication. Fierce on stage, yet deeply warm off it, Banali poured his heart into every beat, shaping the sound of a generation and leaving a legacy that still echoes with passion, power, and undeniable love for the music. Hello, and welcome to the Church of Rock and Roll, where we celebrate rock legends and artists who have left us. Banali was born on November 14, 1951, in Queens, New York, to Italian immigrants, Jack and Martha Banali. In 1975, he moved to Los Angeles, where he spent 4 years playing drums with various bands, including Steppenwolf with Nick St. Nichols and Goldie McJohn. He was a very prolific session player and played on many hits for other artists, including Billy Idol's Mony Mony and L.A. Woman, and over 100 recordings. After signing with Pasha Records in 1982, Banali and Quiet Riot found success with Mental Health, which was released 6 months after signing their deal. In November 1983, only 8 months after its release, Mental Health reached the #1 spot on the Billboard 200 charts, making it the first heavy metal album to go #1 on the charts. Mental Health eventually sold over 10 million copies worldwide and helped usher in the decade of heavy metal. By the time Condition Critical was released in July 1984, tensions began to slowly break Quiet Riot apart, but Banali held on, through lineup changes and a diminishing fan base, mostly caused by Kevin Dubrow's erratic behavior. By 1989, Quiet Riot disbanded after touring in support of their self-titled album, which was released in October 1988.
Tango. What's this, your breakfast? Yeah, breakfast of champions. Yeah. Or derelicts, one of the two. I'm not too sure. It's a fine line. Frankie Banali on drums.
In 1988, Banali also recorded drums for W.A.S.P's The Headless Children album. After Quiet Riot disbanded, he rejoined W.A.S.P to tour and support the album. He also recorded half of the drums for W.A.S.P's The Crimson Idol album, along with drummer Stet Howland.
これがニューアルバムのヘッドレスチルデンなんですけどもね、すごく変わったジャケットで何を意味してるのかなっていうのをちょっとクリスに聞いてみるんですけど、クリス、tell me about the meaning of this album concept. It's old friends? No. Serious, Chris.
I've got tiny little W.A.S.P backstage passes.
Oh, nice. Okay.
The headless children means that these are all headless. Even though they're grown up, they're still headless children. They don't mind. That's what it does.
Right.
You know, the song's about really nuclear war, but it's about what these people have done to other people in the world.
I see.
We don't want the Japanese fans to misunderstand. Headless children does not mean tameshigiri. Does not mean that.
違うのね。当たり前ですよ、そんなもん。試し切りでヘッドレスチルデンは危ないな、もう本当に。でも、いやちょっとフランキーにね、このアルバムに参加してるんだけど、僕はね、このアルバムのブラッキーの歌詞って非常に注目してるんですよね。なぜかっていうと、やっぱりだいぶシリアスなW.A.S.Pになってくると思うんだから、変わってるかどうかちょっと聞いてみようと思うんですけども、フランキー、points of view. I think really interested about this lyrics. It's very serious.
Yeah.
I think. So do you see the W.A.S.P image changing with old tunes? Lyrics.
Well, the lyrics, I think from a lyrical point of view, how many times can you sing songs about women, you know?
Right.
All the old W.A.S.P material, as good as it is, centers around women and sex and violence and women and violence and women with women having violence and sex, you know? Yeah, but what happened is there's a lot of strange things happening in the world, and especially in America. And I can't speak for Blackie because he's the one that wrote the lyrics, but as I understand it from reading the lyrics, a lot of the stuff comes from him watching American TV and seeing what's going on.
Right.
And you have songs like Thunderhead, which is about it's like an against drugs song, and it could be about crack cocaine, it could be about heroin, it could be about anything like that. And Headless Children is about it's about all the evil people in the world who don't think.
Right.
And there's still a lot of fun songs. As far as the image changing, I think this is probably the heaviest W.A.S.P album that the band has ever done. And I think what it's doing is just taking some of the old W.A.S.P. And just taking it a step further, because after a while you can only do the same thing so many times before you just become redundant and you're a parody of yourself. So it's a step forward.
In 1990, Banali was called in by Faster Pussycat to replace the fired Mark Mitchells during their tour in support of their 1989 album Wake Me When It's Over. After his mother's death in November 1990, Frankie regrouped and formed a band called Heavy Bones with guitarist Gary Hoey. They released only one album in 1992, before disbanding. In 1993, Banali rejoined Quiet Riot after Bobby Rodinelli left the band to join Black Sabbath. In 1994, he also took over as the band's manager. After 3 albums and more lineup changes, including the reunion of the classic Metal Health lineup, Quiet Riot disbanded in 2003. Banali and Dubrow reformed Quiet Riot in 2004 with bassist Chuck Wright and new guitarist Alex Grossi. They released one album with the lineup, Rehab, in 2006, before the untimely death of Dubrow in November 2007. Frankie announced the dissolving of Quiet Riot in January 2008. It would not be until September 2010 that Banali, with the blessing of Kevin Dubrow's family, reformed Quiet Riot with Wright and Grossi. They originally hired Mark Huff, but he was let go in January 2012. While Keith St. John came in to fulfill their tour dates, they hired Scott Vokoun in March 2012. In November 2013, Vokoun left and was replaced by Jizzy Pearl. And in June 2014, Quiet Riot released 10, their first album in 8 years. On January 18, 2017, Frankie was inducted into the Metal Hall of Fame for his contribution to heavy metal drums.
I used to go see the first version of Quiet Riot with Randy Rhoads and Kevin Dubrow. They were the band to go see because all the girls would go see the band, so you wanted to go where all the girls were. And I was always amazed at Randy's talent. The guy was unbelievable, just unbelievable, but so was Kevin. Kevin was such a ridiculous showman. And I remember that when Randy left to go play with Ozzy, Kevin told me that Randy was the one that told him that he should get me to play drums. So Kevin I was in a band called Monarch. It was a 3-piece with Michael Monarch, the guitarist from Steppenwolf, and Detective. And he came down to a show with a friend of his that was in the music business, and that's the first time he actually saw me play. And that was end of January of 1980. And that's when we first started talking about playing, and about 6 months later we started working together. And it took Kevin a while to lure me away, because I was like in 4 or 5 bands all the time just to make ends meet. But once I got together with him and we started working on songs, and we both love British bands of the 60s and 70s, so we had an incredible communication. We had our own language. He would start a sentence about some band or some song, and I would finish that sentence. And that was one of the great links in our friendship, was that whole love of music. And we put Dubrow together, and we did gigs for about 2 years, and could not get signed. Nobody cared. Nobody got it. And when we finally got the deal that we did with Pasha and CBS, and the record came out, and it started climbing the charts, and we knocked Michael Jackson, jumped over him, and then knocked the Police out of the #1 spot. From that point on, everything changed for us. And
it comes from their mother. You know, she's great. She raised two great kids. They drove her crazy, and they were very different. But Laura raised two great kids, you know, and two very intelligent kids. And you know, it's like Kevin succeeded in doing what he wanted to be. He always wanted to be a rock star, and that he was. And his brother is a top-class surgeon. You know?
Like they're both rock stars in their own way.
In their own way, yeah.
And you're still very close with Kevin's mother. Part of the movie is
I am.
You making sure you had her blessing to put the band back together.
Yeah, without that, it would have been meaningless for me.
In October 2019, Banali revealed that he was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer on April 17th. He died from the disease on August 20th, 2020, at the age of 68. This left Banali as the second member of the classic Metal Health era lineup to have died, following Kevin Dubrow in November 2007. It was announced 3 weeks after his death that Quiet Riot would continue without Banali, who was replaced by Johnny Kelly.
after 3 tries, they just couldn't do it. And so the doctor, when I came out of anesthesia from surgery, I said, "So, are we good?" And he goes, "No, we couldn't get past the blockage." And I said, "Am I going to have to be wearing this tube and this bag for the rest of my life?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's likely." And I said, "No, I don't accept that. I'm going to stop treatment because this is a very poor quality of life." And he says, "Well, hold on." And he left and had a meeting with his surgeons, and he came back and he goes, "We're going to try one more thing." And it was literally a Hail Mary play. I had been in the hospital since 9 in the morning that day, going through all of this. It's now 6 o'clock in the afternoon, or 6 o'clock in the evening. They rolled me back into surgery, and by 9:15, when I came out of anesthesia, he says they were able to put the stent in. So in due course, the tube was removed, and I've been able to start eating food.
On September 4th, 2020, as a result of a fan-led petition, MTV Classic on their Metal Mayhem show, which aired every Friday evening from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m., aired a rock block of Quiet Riot videos to honor Frankie. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Frankie Banali's power, passion, and spirit lit up every song he touched. His courage and heart were as unforgettable as his playing. He may be gone, but his drumming was louder than life itself.